Welcome back to another episode of Jawn, powered by Collects and Card Dealer Pro. I'm David. He's Ted, co-founder and CEO of Collects. And our guest today is Jake Rosenberg, Vice President of Football Administration for our Philadelphia Eagles. We are Philly through and through here at Collects and Card Dealer Pro. So, Jake, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it.
Jake.
And I must say, also, Jake is a fellow Collects investor, supporter of the company, fellow collector. We'll get into that in a bit. But, yeah, just wanted to, this is going to be a fun podcast, talking about the ins and outs of your collecting life, what you have done in the NFL over the last X amount of years, and have some fun.
Yeah. So here, can I kick it off with the first question? So Jake, what was the first thing you ever collected when you were a kid?
Oh man, I remember going to card shows when I was in elementary school, focusing probably on Yankees players. I grew up diehard Yankees fan. Don Mattingly, to this moment, I probably remember every single Don Mattingly card, like through his entire career. I remember trying to sell cards at some point, like going to shows, and I did not keep any records. I have no idea if I was making money, what I was doing. But yeah, I mean, I remember, cards from very early on in my life, being a focal point, and it was exciting.
Did you ever, like as a kid, start branching out into like football cards or basketball? I myself didn't.
Basketball, I remember hoops, like the early hoops cards, like the white, like the first couple series of hoops, and getting, I remember like some of the cards, exactly what they look like. I haven't seen them probably in 30 plus years. I know my parents have like a couple suitcases in their attic of old stuff that I collected that's probably worth nothing at this point.
Wow, there's definitely some good NBA hoops cards. I wish we had some NBA hoops cards here. We
read all the
today.
baseball cards.
I think we'll definitely like rip some cards later with you if
For
that's
sure.
cool. But so obviously, working in the football world, like, do you get a sense of like, do the players, do any of them collect? We've met a lot of baseball players that like collect their own cards or like collect other people's cards. We met this pitcher for the Phillies, Matt Strom, not too long ago, who he actually collects he really likes to collect the cards of all the players that have hit him deep. The pitcher, right? So anybody that's like,
that's double-edged sword there. In terms of your collection starts getting too big, you might be out of a job pretty soon. I know players do collect, and I know at least one former player who's a monster collector, Evan Mathis, and he's involved in the business. And I know, he's spent a lot of money.
Is Evan the one who also like really into Pokemon? Am I remembering that right?
No. There's a former linebacker in the NFL, Blake Martinez, I think.
That's what I'm thinking about. Sorry, yeah. Oh yeah, Evan Mathis is a little controversial, I think. For like
recently.
Did you hear about that? He posted a video all about like trimming cards.
Yeah.
I did see that actually. Yes, I saw that. And I imagine that's frowned upon.
We'll get him
resquaring and centering cards.
Yeah, if you can help us book him on the pod, an interesting episode.
And speaking of, sticking with the players and the collecting, do you think like players have a better idea of not just collecting, but even like appearances for like autographs? Because I'm seeing more and more players like be more attainable because it helps their presence, it helps their like social media following and branding too. Have you noticed that over the last few years?
I think that the card companies are such an integral part of, that welcome to the NFL kind of experience where, like from jump, they have card deals. I've seen where players come in, they're rookies, and within their first month or so, they've got like whatever the obligation is for Panini or whomever, they are shipped boxes and boxes of cards to, get through. So I think like from the minute they're in the league, they're kind of, indoctrinated into that world, and they know that there's money there and things like that. I don't know to what extent players are, collecting in like an advanced kind of savvy way, as opposed to just, this is cool, I have cards and, and I can make money.
Yeah. And cards today, like there's some pretty cool, like, they now offer, the cards with memorabilia embedded in the card, right, with the patch cards, and I've seen like a lot of cards that have like cleats and things like that.
It's really smart. And I think when I think back to cards I collected as a kid, and and the value was so like artificial in terms of we never had a clue how many of anything there were, you know, and it was just like, oh, good player, early card, must be worth X, Y, or Z. It was totally artificial, whereas opposed to knowing that there's a fixed supply of these things, one of ones, and I mean, that makes total sense. Yeah. I wish at the time, way back when, it would have occurred to me that this is the most ridiculous market. You know, prior to working in the NFL, I traded, so I have traded like commodities and into markets. So, you know, in a certain sense, this is like the two worlds kind of colliding for me. And yeah, I feel a little bit taken advantage of when I was a kid.
I mean, back then, the only way to really create like, you know, scarcity or like essentially have a one-on-one was to get it autographed, right? Like that was like,
or there were error cards I remember chasing around.
Yeah,
crazy. I could remember off the top of my head a Ben McDonald, or Billy Ripken, and I'm trying to think of others where, you know, the back was mismatched to the front, or
one of the things that's been like big in baseball is the new so Fanatics and the MLB coming out with the debut patch. Have you heard about that?
Yeah.
Do you think they'll do something like that in football too?
No, they 100% should, for sure.
They should, but
plant that seed with you to tell it.
I mean, I think that makes sense from like an ancillary revenue and all that perspective. I know the NFL, and this is not my lane by any means.
Yes.
But a lot of leagues have gone to, you know, jersey patches and selling space on jerseys, and it doesn't seem like our league is any closer to doing that. So I would imagine in terms of that being a revenue generator exclusively, you know, that maybe falls in that lane. But
I mean, with the NFL also investing in Fanatics, right? They're kind of like, they have a vested interest in like, you know, hopefully selling more cards. And seems like that'd be a pretty cool way. There is one like criminal thing is that they make patches for and cards for all the players. They don't make them for the coaches, and they don't make them for the front office.
Yeah, probably because.
So we're slowly trying to right this wrong. We we're friends with Nick Sirianni, the coach of the Eagles, and we got him a pretty cool patch card for the Eagles. This is not officially licensed. Nobody's going to give us crap about it, but we have your own Jake Rosenberg, one of one.
Please clap it up.
Debut card.
This is a scary proposition.
So we'll show it.
Because
we didn't want to put you in a uniform. We have a tie, a necktie.
Yeah, that's nice.
So shout out to Omar.
The necktie from the picture, probably not, but
no, my necktie from the picture is the nice one my wife bought me. I think that's a Prada tie, but
I got one with a little Eagles logo.
I've evolved. Yeah, I really try to avoid wearing ties at this point to our games. This is awesome.
Yeah, so shout out to Omar from One of One Memorabilia for making this
very cool.
Yeah, there's a friend of ours who's he's based in Australia, and Omar actually makes these like custom cards. So I made them for like my kid's baseball team.
Yeah.
So every kid on the baseball team got like a little patch.
I wish I could say, even my kids wouldn't even want this.
Oh, come on.
My kids take all of this for.
I swear to God, you put that on eBay tomorrow, you could probably,
oh my God, I don't even want it. Yeah.
You could raise Collectibles A round based on the proceeds you get.
But I know we have a game worn, or actually store worn tie in there. But going back to like the debut patch thing, I would love for the NFL to put their own debut patch on the NFL draft jersey. So I know they technically don't wear them on draft night, but put that on the jersey,
cool.
And then swap that out jersey. You know, they keep the jersey, patch comes off, and then that patch then goes onto their first ever card.
Yeah.
Prism. I think
that would be awesome.
Rookie card,
or that jersey as a whole. I don't know what is that jersey,
because there's a fine line now. Like people get kind of, especially with NBA, actually, and NFL too. Like the RPAs aren't rookie patch autos aren't technically worn, so there's like a fine line. Like if it's game worn, you can actually say this was from September 20th, 2014,
right.
Compared to like it's a jersey that just they took from the closet.
What's the genesis of the NBA patch? Where is it?
Same thing. It's just like a sleeve of the jersey. It's not
from draft night.
No, not from draft night, but it could. Some of them are game worn, but majority of them are not. But they still sell for a crazy amount of money.
Right. Yeah, like
which is kind of nuts to be.
Yeah, I've seen the Logo Man stuff, and
yeah, it's a cool change in the hobby. I feel like hopefully they'll start making cards for the coaches in the front office. I feel like that's
coaches probably more so than front office. I think.
Yeah,
particularly. A Jake Rosenberg or
Nick Sirianni.
Card. I don't think anyone would want my card particularly, but I could see coaches have become, storm.
They used to make cards for football coaches. This is definitely a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think a Nick Sirianni game worn visor would be a piece of his visor. That'd be kind of cool.
I tried to find a visor for his card. All I could get was I had one of the hats. He brought back a ton of hats from the Super Bowl, so I took like a little patch from the hat.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about.
So Jake, you've been
Where those came from.
You've been in the league for a while. Just like in sports cards, people are prospecting with rookies and stars.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any, looking back at your tenure in the league, is there any player that like months before, like, because I'm sure you guys talk in turn, like, all right, this guy's gonna be a stud. Like any player that comes to mind during the last, 10 years, like, wow, like I knew, in April of 20, whatever, like, is there any player that sticks out for you?
In terms of,
just like hype or just like, I don't know.
I mean, I would say I'll just go, for the NFL draft, even just over my time. This was my 12th draft here with the Eagles. I would just say, like, despite better technology, more time in the process, and all that stuff, the results in the first round have not drastically improved.
Mm-hmm.
I think sometimes you have feelings about players and what they're going to become. The scouts in our building, Howie, everybody puts in unbelievable amount of time in terms of identifying players and like really trying to get to the bottom of every single little issue with a player, knowing everything about them, personality, who they hang around with, those types of things. But it's hard. I mean, you get feelings about certain players, but the reality of, I think football more so than any of the other major sports is where they go, what the situation that they're in, that plays such a big role in terms of what their actual outcome is. It's a crazy thing. Like, it's almost like this like sliding doors situation where same player, different team, different coaches, whatever. It could be even just a different position group, just being around a different group of players, may completely change the outcome, of their career. To me, like, that's an amazing thing about football, and it makes it even that much more difficult to predict. Whether it's draft, even whether it's free agency, and you're taking a professional player who already has a body of work and you're just moving him to another team. Like, sometimes you see players take off, and sometimes you see players, who never get to the level of success that they were at a previous team, strictly based on like these, external factors. And I think that makes it really interesting. Baseball, to me, like, free agency, trade deadline, things like that, it's a little bit of plug and play. Guys effectively have the same role. Their job is impacted maybe by who hits before them or after them in a lineup, things like that, but much less so than the NFL. I always feel good about our draft picks in terms of, we've gone through a process. We feel a certain way about them to where we pick them. And it's just interesting to see how expectations or what you think about a player, and once you get them in the building, and how the reality compares to that.
It's got to be a weird alchemy of trying to figure out what will be a good cultural fit, or like how will somebody do. We were watching The Last Dance with the kids last night. We were watching that episode on Dennis Rodman, and like,
I think questions to say that episode.
Oh, they love Dennis Rodman. They think he's awesome. But it's like, at the time, I remember everyone was like so perplexed about like, why would the Bulls want Dennis Rodman? Like, he's kind of like, he's out of control. He's like damaged goods. And but you got the man, they interview Jared Cross and all the things about like, and they just knew that he could be that he could actually fit into their team and excel, which he did. But it's tough, like to know that, to be able to kind of like, read between the lines and figure that out. And and that's one of the most challenging things that you guys
for sure. And I think along those lines, as an extension kind of what I was saying, like if you acquire a player, this is a good example with Dennis Rodman, who comes with a unique personality or a unique, disposition, things like that. You need to have the right situation around that player to support them. You need to kind of know what you're getting. And it's hard. You see whether it's changing a player's position or role, or, they are a certain way off the court in one spot, and then you bring them in and, trying to have them conform to some, like, it changes everything about that player. So yeah, that would be a good example though of a player. Maybe you're like, what, how is that going to work? But they knew, they had done a good job.
It's probably even harder when you're drafting somebody right out of college, right? To even know. I mean, maybe how they worked with their team,
Correct. Yeah, it's
the Phillies. I'm sorry, the Eagles like the Georgia Bull. I won't ask you to comment on any of the drafts or anything like that, but clearly, he drafted a bunch of players from Georgia, so I think there must be some sense that there's that there's going to be some immediate cultural fit.
I want to stick with the draft for a second, if you don't mind, Jake. Like, what's that week like for you guys? Like, are you sleeping at Overcare? Like,
no, I think that
the war room tells otherwise. So, like, all these different, the war room angles.
The war room, actually, my seat this year was like right in line with the camera, the fixed camera that's in there that is like controlled externally. So, like, you have an idea when it's going to be on, but there were a couple things that happened, like while in the little windows while our camera was on, that were funny. I got a lot of texts at times. But no, I think it's actually probably similar to most other lines of work in terms of it's a lengthy process. You do tons of work. And if in those last couple of days, like you're scrambling around trying to make up for lost time or really cramming, then your process was probably a little broken and your results may not match. So no, I think that.
So it's not like that Kevin Costner movie Draft Day?
Yeah, I have not watched that movie at all. I know a little bit about the plot. I know a little bit about the plot, and I feel like Jennifer Garner's me. So then down the line, I know a little bit about the plot. And if you extrapolate that out, it gets very uncomfortable. Yeah,
but also too, like, I think Kevin Costner, like, I can't, like, he's Field of Dreams, like, he's a baseball guy. I can't put him in
he's Field of Dreams, but he also was in that other baseball movie where he played someone on the Tigers. No,
it's a solid
For Love of the Game.
Tigers
For Love of the Game.
For Love of the Game. Great one. I had
more Draft Day. Draft Day is it's actually a pretty solid movie. It probably bears no.
I have problems. I will say, like, a sports movie where they have actors playing athletes who are clearly not athletes at all. I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm done.
On the topic of Draft Day, we have a bunch of product here, and we have a few boxes.
That's a good transition.
I'm all about the segues.
Yeah.
So we got a few draft products here. So we got Bowman Inception. We're not gonna do all these, but all right. So Jake, you pick Bowman U Best, Bowman Inception, which is less cards, but 2 autos per box, and Bowman U Chrome. What do you say?
I'm intrigued by the 7-card box.
Okay,
I mean, if you're only putting 7 cards in a box,
yeah, we're gonna
have them rip.
Probably. I have someday. Yeah,
cool stuff. All right, Dave, key that up.
This is a whole new world of cards from my heyday.
The only one.
No, I know this is incredible. I may keep this in case of emergency.
No,
that'll be your kids will love it. Your kids will be psyched.
So this box is $175, and I think is Wemby in this? I'm looking at Alex. Wemby's in this. Okay. How do you open this bad boy? Is this your first time ever ripping live on a?
It is.
I'll let you do everything.
No,
just read out. We'll I have my camera here. I can record it when we're done.
Bowman U Inception is what we're ripping.
Specific strategy here, like I don't
just go slow. Let's see. There's 7 cards per box, and I think there's an auto. There should be 2 autos.
2 autos.
All right,
so,
here we go.
All right, so let's see what we got. We're gonna get basketball and football, and maybe
Hunter Dickinson Inception.
Okay.
All right. Here's another one.
You got a patch rookie.
Whoa. Tyler Van Dyke and Rowie Klubnik.
But yeah, that's a pretty sweet card.
We'll video it when.
All right, we have. What are these? These are, swatches of something too.
Yeah, that's part of their.
Oh, it's two.
Another autograph.
Who's that?
Now another Tyler Van Dyke, quarterback in Miami.
Do you know Tyler Van Dyke?
I do know of Tyler Van Dyke, but not in the league yet. So
this is number to 99.
Very cool.
Yeah, so that's like you were talking about actually seeing how many of them there are. Like
this is like
perfect example.
It's like buying a stock and putting it in your 401k.
There you go. Honestly, it's funny you say that, Jake. I jokingly told my wife, like, cards to me, I mean, I'm not spending, $50,000 on cars a year, but like, it's kind of cool flip. Like you can, get some vacation money for, and a deal or two with selling some cards at some shows.
I think that's cool. I'm a big fan of that.
So what's that on?
So this is Ramon Davis from Kentucky.
Okay.
Autograph.
We know him too. We'll see.
Prospect cards, I don't know him.
I mean,
It's always hard with prospect cards. That's why I was
These are like down right. These are like down the line. I assume I'm more curious about how all this goes, like the whole flow of how they pay the players and get to players, and
people love investing in prospect cards because if they one day hit it big. I mean, what was the big rookie card this year? Drew Jones
for the Diamondbacks. Yeah,
right.
Andrew Jones' son.
Yeah, but he's not even playing in the majors yet.
No,
right.
But if he hits it big, I think there was a bounty on that card where if he makes the Hall of Fame, they're gonna pay out $1 million.
Did we go through them all?
No, I'm still going here. Yeah, I know. Like as a Yankees fan, Jason Dominguez has been insane. Yeah, the Martian has been a big card for a long time. Another Tyler Van Dyke. Two Tyler Van Dyke cards in one pack. Walker Howard from Ole Miss.
Cool.
The universe is telling you.
These are
interesting. I didn't even know that they did. No, please, we do not need a quarterback.
Drew Alar from Penn State. Okay. Yeah, these are like real down the line, guys that are still in college, and Jackson Dart from Ole Miss.
Cool. And that's everything, right?
That's it.
Yeah. All right. No Wemby,
but still, I mean, not just 2, but 3 autos with the double auto.
Oh yeah.
Pretty sweet.
Cool.
That's good.
So what do you think?
I think that
is your adrenaline rushing?
Right? My adrenaline is off the charts right now. Just waiting to fast forward several years into the future to see if any of these guys,
Van Dyke,
these guys pay back.
So Jake, what else? We talked before. Yeah. On. What else are you collecting these days?
So what else am I collecting these days? Well, I went through a period where I collected a lot of sports memorabilia. This is probably predates my NFL days. I've got a lot of stuff in boxes and not much place in my house to display anything. But like,
if you're looking for a place to display, the Collects office just down the road, we'll gladly frame up.
I actually have. It's been sitting in my safe, and I was thinking about trying to get an idea of what it was worth. I have a 1932 New York Yankees team sign ball. I think there's 7 or 8 Hall of Famers on one team.
Wow.
With a couple, randos named like Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig, which is
wow. That would be dear.
Incredible.
Yeah, pretty awesome.
Shout out Sandlot.
And what else did I collect? I collect a lot of memorabilia.
Collect jerseys, football.
I haven't collected really any NFL memorabilia. Like it's pretty amazing, I guess, just as somebody who is aware of what goes on and the clamor for things. I'm in the locker room after games, and jerseys are just like everywhere, and knowing like a game, what game used jerseys, things like that. It's pretty incredible. I've collected art. I've bought contemporary art, bought and sold contemporary art. I've gotten over the last 3 years into NFTs and, generative.
What are some of the NFTs that you bought? Did you buy
I bought I did not buy a Bored Ape, but I bought a CryptoPunk. I've had that, ridden that.
Up and down.
Big roller coaster.
Crypto art. That whole space is up and down.
The whole space is
like cards,
up and down. Yes. I bought a lot of generative art in that sense, which I love. It's like this, programmatic. It's less like not the profile picture type of stuff. It's these artists. It's like a combination of conventional art with computer programming and coding, and the results are, they basically just run this algo, and you never really know what it's going to look like until it runs. And I'm fascinated with that idea. And the thing that I find most amazing in that sector is just how they can tie royalties to the actual piece of art. So every time, it trades, it confers, royalties back to the artist, which is a pretty amazing thing when, you think about the implications there. What else have I'm trying to collect Super Bowl rings, but
But I was gonna,
Stuck at one. I don't
Again,
even know why I
that's what I was-
said that in my
so you've been to two, obviously the one that the Eagles won. Is there anything from both Super Bowls that you like had to say like, all right, I'm leaving the stadium today with this, or like piece of confetti? Obviously the first time.
No, I mean, the quest is always the ring.
Yeah.
You know, that's
How often do you
great
wear it?
piece. So infrequently, I'll look at it periodically if
Just to
I
know it's
walk
yours.
by, just to make sure it's still where I left it.
That's cool.
You know, we got one for this last season, but not the right one. But I think that's probably the greatest. Like, that's like a wearable trophy in a sense. You know, it represents so much goes into that kind of thing. But no, I mean, I really haven't collected any NFL. Nothing particular. They have game balls from different, big wins or commemorating winning a division or things like that. But
We just got a couple Eagles jerseys for the office.
did you?
I was very proud that I found a really inexpensive signed jersey, and it arrived in the mail today, and I totally forgot that I had purchased this. And I realized it's from Miles Sanders, who's not going to play the team anymore.
We let that slide.
anymore. Yeah.
So Jake, we appreciate your time for being on Car Jawn. If anyone wants to follow you on social or like just, follow the Eagles.
Yeah, I'm like I would stress, and that's why it's funny that I have this card and whatnot. I really am I am a cog in the machine. So I am not. My social is really just my own personal stuff, my kids, things like that. I'm not that interesting in terms of. I'm not trying to put myself out there.
Sure, really, I feel you. All good.
I think you're pretty interesting. It's been super fun today. Thank you for coming onto the show with us, and excited for this next season.
Yeah. Hopefully next time we talk to you.
Hope you get a little more rest before things kick into high gear. But good luck getting that ring this next year.
Yeah.
Big things in store with Jalen and the Eagles. Very exciting time in the city, and we appreciate you being on. So thank you so much, Jake.
I appreciate it.
Again, this is another episode of Car Jawn. Our guest today with Jake Rosenberg, Vice President of Football Administration for the Philadelphia Eagles. Thanks for watching Car Jawn, powered by Collects and Car Dealer Pro.